Content and Consequences lifts the curtain between the creative and business side of entertainment. There are those that create content and those that deal with the business consequences of making it. Featuring live interviews with industry disruptors, we showcase the process and aftermath of creative content development. Content and Consequences is part of Rogue Matter, a digital content platform providing programming and entertainment that shatters boundaries and colors outside the lines. Join the movement. Go Rogue. RogueMatter.com. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Content and Consequences. I am your host, Jordan Elizabeth Gelber, and I am here with one of the coolest dudes I met in quarantine last year that we've developed so many exciting, groundbreaking projects together, the one and only Ramphis Murtha. What up, Ramphis?
Yo, it's shaking and baking. It's good to be here, to be in the building. Yeah, we just met last week in person, which is cool.
Which is cool. We did meet in person. We're in-person friends and online friends now. We're not just like Zoom, I see you on a screen and we hang out and try to do stuff friends. We're now like real people friends. It's a good time.
Yeah, agreed.
So you and I met last year through our mutual friend, Mara McCann. Shout out to Mara. And we were creating this great LinkedIn course called Showbiz Connection. Everybody should definitely check it out. Shameless plug. But we educate content creators and entertainment professionals on the creative side to kind of connect with people on the business side, which is something that you and I both have experienced in the past. But because we marinated in this knowledge, we've been able to break open our careers. And on this podcast, we talk about the consequences of content. And one of the things that I see is that a lot of content creators are not well informed about who they should be reaching out to or how they should be reaching out to it. But you've managed to make an entire career of just being persistent and proactive, which is why you're one of like the most badass people that I know. But instead of, talking for you, Ramphis, please tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my goal as a human being is to leave the world touched, moved, and inspired. And I do that through storytelling. And I really gravitate towards, untold stories, marginalized voices. So, first and foremost, definitely like BIPOC stories and films and filmmakers and stories. And then I have a big support for, women, so stories around women, by women, and then queer, community as well, telling those important stories. And I started in the industry in front of the camera, transitioned behind the camera, started B Cities Productions in 2007. And I'd done a ton of short films. I still do shorts from time to time, and had projects all over the world, at Cannes, Sundance, Tribeca, you name it, all different types of festivals. I've had my projects play at conferences, be part of non-for-profits, for educational, platforms and programs, universities, colleges. And I go around the world just speaking around, telling these stories, like how to produce, how to raise money. And I also consult, filmmakers one-on-one about developing their projects, anywhere from like a development level or, hey, I just finished my movie. I need to do my K-1, which is like your business taxes, or, I need a entertainment attorney and, figure out distribution from A to Z, so that's been my focus over the past, I would say, year or so, just doing this. But I would say all along since, I started in the business was just being focused on uplifting, my fellow man or fellow woman and giving back, I believe in spiritual law. And one of the laws is that it is better to give, the more you give, the more you receive, that's just how it works. It's like you're giving energy, transactional. So just because I do something for Jordan, Elizabeth Gelber, doesn't mean Jordan's going to give it back to me. It may come back, through someone else or from someone else. that's just how it works. So outside of just, like telling these stories, it's about supporting and being a leader and a thought provoker in these spaces.
So inspiring and empowering, especially the part about uplifting, because I know that that's something we deal with every day. There's so many undiscovered voices and so many voices that are suppressed that need someone to kind of be that amplifier for them. And, that's one of the reasons I've been so excited about working with you, because I have a similar mission. I feel that we need to shine a light on those people that don't get the chance to be in the spotlight because somebody says otherwise. That really, I guess right now we could see it doesn't really matter anymore. I think the indie world and the underground storytelling is really. But one thing that you really said just now struck a chord within me, because we say this all the time in our webinars. It's not about transactional relationships. And so one of the biggest concerns I have when I work with new content creators on the, producing side or development side, a lot of the things they want to do are like, oh, I need to meet all these different people. And then I'll just tell them what I'm doing. And maybe they'll book me in their show, or they'll sell my show, or they'll do something. And they're only building the relationship for one step. When I think what we've discovered is the way that you have a long lasting career in the industry is by cultivating long lasting, authentic relationships. Because we know transactional relationships, the industry is very, very small, whether people like to know about that or not, that, reputation matters, relationship building matters. But you've made such impactful relationships over the years with some very big names. How did you get started in terms of like going where you were then to where you are now?
I think in the beginning, it was just building the foundation, just really, mastering my craft and learning that side. Because I think in any profession, whatever you do, people are going to hire you or want to work with you if you're professional, you know your stuff, and you're good at what you do. So I think a lot of it, you have to be talented and be experienced. And I believe in not doing 100%. I believe in doing 150%, going above and beyond, going to that 25th hour, no matter what, I do believe that you do have to get your proper amount of sleep, and that's important too. But when there's a deadline and you have to hit, and setting up that tone, because, how you show up is how people are going to treat you and how the world is going to see you and view you. So in the beginning, when I was, just an actor, I would just read the trades and read books and just learn every aspect of the business and read IMDb every day, all day. I actually had memorized, a lot of people's like client list and, this person's here or there. And it's really helped me, like when I've been in a room. So I remember the first time I went to Cannes, I was at the American Pavilion, and there was this woman there that, like I was having an episode, and I went over to talk to her and like, what's going on? And, and then I asked her what was her name, wasn't really familiar with her name, but they said the name of her company. I was like, wait a second, I know this company did this. And then it's like, oh my God. And, it was a good icebreaker per se. So I feel like in this industry, there's an expectation of having, the fundamental, knowledge. And that's always, opened the door and helped me, because I'm intelligent with what's going on currently. And our business is always evolving and ever so changing. And I feel that is your responsibility, like that is your, because in our business, there's no, I want to say like in real estate, it's tangible. With stocks, it's tangible. In our business, it's about our creative power. As a producer or filmmaker, you have to come up with something out of thin air and have it hold value and be able to sell it, and that's how you're valued. So, having that knowledge and that talent, goes a long way. And I feel like in the beginning, I vested so much work into that, just knowing things, and just being a sponge. And being, I learned this from Kevin Trudeau, having the willingness to learn. So when I say the willingness to learn, it's not just saying you're willing to learn, but what are you willing to sacrifice? So like, let's say you love playing golf every weekend, but it requires you maybe a weekend or multiple weekends to put time into your craft. Are you willing to give that up to learn?
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing is the willingness to change. Darwin, the Darwin's theory really is not really the survival of the fittest, but it's about those that are able to adapt, in changes. So those two things I've always been mindful of and have always helped me. And then, also showing up is half the battle, so to be able to have opportunity, you have to go to the opportunity or create the opportunity. So I was notoriously known for this back in the day, where I would just crash, film sets, filmmakers I wanted to know or build relationships with, and it was very unorthodox and very risky. But I wasn't an idiot, I didn't, crash a film set and run into frame or, interrupt at the wrong time. I would wait for the right moment. Sometimes I would have to go back multiple days and just like, to the person I want to get to. And a lot of times, it wouldn't work out, but sometimes it would work out, and that's all that would take. So, the one, thing that had really helped me was that I'd gone to this set. It was called Staten Island. It's now called Little New York. It was a film that James DeMonaco was directing. He wrote, directed, and he was a writer before then. He had done like The Negotiator, Assault on Precinct 13, and this film set. It was him, Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke is like a really dear friend of his. So, long story short, at the end of the day, after the film, wrapped, and this was like shooting, it was an overnight shoot. So, I waited until it ended, approached the filmmaker, and, and this was James DeMonaco. And, we built a relationship. He shared his information, and and then later on, my film got into Cannes, and he told me that his producer was going to be there. And I connected with his producer, who not had only one film, but he had 3 films at Cannes, which is a whole other story. And they were telling us about a little movie that they had just done, with Michael Bay, Ethan Hawke. We'll see how it does, for $3 million. And a year later, NBA Finals, the trailer for The Purge is playing rotational, and it changed his life. And I had the in with James, and, I said, James, put me on. He's like, dude, I can't really do anything for you, but if you ever need anything, you can contact my agent, Charles Ferrara at, UTA, which is what I later on did. And I met with UTA, and, I've had, like if there's something that made sense, I can go there. But, so cultivating relationships like that, willing to go the extra mile, because how many people would have done that? How many people would have said, you know what, like, I really want to get to this guy. How do I get to this guy? Wait, like doing the research to find out when his film is shooting, where it's shooting, going to the set, approaching him, getting his information, following up, which most people don't follow up, and then meeting, saying like, you know what, I'm going to be at Cannes. I mean, granted, I had to film at Cannes anyway. So, meeting with his filmmaker and staying in touch. And consistency, which landed me there. So that's been like my whole career, is just showing up, being out of the box, and, not being scared to ask for things. Closed mouths don't get fed. So James, put me on, even though I know like there's nothing you really do, but let's see what he says. And him giving this idea, okay, I'm going to take this idea, I'm going to run with it, and then follow through. So it's the follow through. So I do that in my modern day, current day, even though those are the fundamentals that I used earlier in my career. And even now, in terms of like just being aware, just reading the trades, like being aware of like what's in the mix, like what content that people are looking for, what filmmakers really interesting, what talent is about to really pop. Where the industries, like just paying attention to that and speaking to industry leaders. The honest truth is that even the buyers don't know what's going on, but we're all in the same space of trying to figure things out and support and community. And I feel that, being at these relevant festivals, I have my ear to the ground. I see what's being bought, what's being sold, what's not selling. and just using what I feel makes sense for me, because just because this person at the studio or this talent agent or manager or this famous actor does something doesn't necessarily mean it's for me, but maybe piece of it can be for me. So really assessing that, and at the same time just having like a really good community. The one thing which, it took me a little bit to really confirm this and know that, is that I've met a lot of people in this business, and not everybody is the right fit, or some people overpromise, underdeliver, or whatever, and that's not really my style. And just finding my sense of community and tribe. Not everybody's for me. That's one thing I realized. And the ones that are for me make sense, and we're going to win and thrive together. And the ones that don't make sense just don't make sense, so just really honing in, on that. And I feel that, myself, sometimes, you get caught up, like, wait a second, like this person didn't return my call, or I don't know if they're interested in working with me. They don't like me, or do they like me, or whatever, or their communication sucks, or, they canceled, a meeting on me, and just figuring out like, all right, well, do they value me, and like, where, am I, like, I don't want to chase, people. So it's kind of has to be a level of like, all right, where do they see the value in me, and do I mean something to them, and vice versa. So really understanding that and applying that in my everyday, like transactions or emails or calls or correspondence or whatever you want to call it. And then like, all right, this is like my community, like this group or this company or individual or these people get me and they want to work with me. Not everyone is going to want to work with me, or they're not going to understand my talent, or they're not going to appreciate my, it got to get done right now, be aggressive, it may be a turnoff, and that's fine, because just like, some people may not want to work with me. I may not want to work with some people, so just kind of understanding that and just having the confidence to just go out there and execute. And that's really what has helped me, kind of build my credibility and relationships, because people know that if I'm involved with something, I'm in all the way and then some, and I'm going to get it done one way or another, so I hope that answers your question. I know
it gives me a very big scope and also so many more questions, but I could definitely vouch for the fact that when you get involved with something, you go 150%. And I think that is so admirable, because so many people in this industry don't give even 100%. They expect, things to just happen for them. And it's not how the world works, specifically now. And you mentioned so many points about how the industry, like real estate, is tangible. Writing a script is tangible, but making an actual film, we're doing our creativity. Like, our creativity is something we speak into the ether, and we hope that people resonate within it. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people on the creative side of the industry think about. It's like, oh, well, I have this huge idea and they're just going to tear it apart, or I'm going to make it and they're going to think I have the most amazing new thing in the world. But there are a lot of things being like, you have to build relationships. You have to find people that you want to play in their sandbox, and vice versa. Because like you said, you don't know if someone's could be the right person to work with. Just because, you're inspired by somebody's film or somebody's project does not mean that when you meet them, you guys have the right personality to even work together. You could respect them as peers. And that's the beauty of the industry. Like, everyone has, that's why they make different flavor lollipops. We don't know how people are going to be. But I want to ask you, in terms of one misconception being the fact that people forget that content creation and producing is not tangible in the conventional way. What are other misconceptions that you find people on the creative side? And then also, what are some misconceptions that you find of people on the industry side when it comes to the world of producing and content creation?
On the creative side, I always hear it, which annoys me. Is like, I got to get an agent. I got to get a manager. You know what I mean? Like, agent and manager is not going to do anything for you. That's my belief. It's like, it's different if you're like established in a household name, but it's a catch-22. Like, when you're at the level of a Spike Lee or Steven Spielberg or, a Martin Scorsese, these people that have these big agencies and machines, yes, it's helpful that they have the agent and manager, but they can still, they can still be able to get work and do their deals. You know what I mean? So the agent and manager absolutely enhances their career, but it's different, you being, new or unknown and, like you did your first movie and it did all right. You know what I mean? Like people aren't going to be like knocking down your door to work with you. You know what I mean? Like that's not how it works. So, like for a creative, it's all about, just putting out good work, being consistent and not relying or believing, that, once you have an agent and manager, your life's going to just, turn around, like I do think reps are helpful, but it's at the right time,
100%.
They enhance your career, but you have to still keep working hard. If anything, when you do get a rep, you work harder, and they help you with that. Because the thing is that agent or manager, especially agent, they have a huge client list. You know what I mean? So they're not going to be able, imagine if you have 3 projects that you write and you want them to help you shop or put together. And let's say that agent has 100 clients, you know what I mean? So imagine all 100 clients of 3 projects. That's 300 projects. Not one person could remember 300 projects and shop them around. And what happens is that there'll be new projects that come on, right? So let's say it goes the following year, then you're doubled, you're at 600. And there's no way that they're going to remember all that. They're human, they don't have that bandwidth. So sometimes things get lost. Most of the time, things get lost in the shuffle. So you have to be like that, flamethrower or that person that just, like you ignite the world on fire where people want to come and be a part of like what you're doing. And the agent or manager can overlook and make sure like legally or, like with your lawyer and all that, you're taken care of. But there's this misconception of that, and it's been like that forever, so I think that's the first thing that has to, go out there. And then on the industry side, I feel that, on the flip side, I was at this really cool pool party with this talent manager this past weekend. And, she was telling me about, this project or projects being shot in upstate New York and how, the actors are getting a day rate, but, to be a local hire, you have to be like local. And if you're coming from the city, you have to spend $32 each way, and that's like $64, you know what I mean? So for someone that's creative, that works full time, that lives paycheck to paycheck, at $64, it's a lot of money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on the executive network level, it's like, wait a second, like you guys really can't pay the $64, you know what I mean? So, they may not be mindful aware of it because, when you're executive, you have like expense accounts and stuff like that. So it's not coming out of your pocket or whatever. And, you have like a 6-figure, maybe 7-figure income. So, $32 is like, oh, they could cover that. It's no big deal, but it is a big deal. And, the manager was sharing her frustration with a lot of her actors, they come from marginalized communities, or they have maybe, some type of hearing, disability or, some type of physical disability. And, every dollar, every penny counts. So I think, I know, that affects, the talent and they can't afford the $32 each way. So I feel like that can be a misconception where, the actor will just figure it out. Oh, they'll just, if they really want it, they'll make it work, yeah, but, you're talking about people's lives and they have families and kids and, and they want to live their dreams. They shouldn't have to give up their dream and be a waiter or work at like, Macy's or something, so to be able to do this. So it's unfortunate because what ends up happening is that a lot of talented people give up on their dreams or the people that are going and making it happen are either, trust fund babies, which I'm not going to say it's, like, hey, if you were born into that life, yeah, more power to you. But, it's a different playing field for someone that's born into wealth as opposed to someone that has to work and hustle every day or someone that's just like, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever it takes. And they're going to, you know, their mental health or physical health will be affected, you know, because they're stressing over the $32 to get the set.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, it's so true that people could be doing better on both sides. And I think that overall, it's all about starting conversation, asking for what you want. I see that as like a common theme, like ask for what you want, because you're not going to get the respect you want. You're not going to get the you know, conversations you want. You're not going to get the asks that you're looking for if you don't actually, you know, take the initiative. What are better ways that you think people can show up better to get what they want on the creative side? Because you yourself, you're a producer. You work with, you know, wait, hold on a second. You mentioned Beast of East before, and I totally skimmed over that like a horrible person. Can you please tell everybody a little bit about Beast of East?
Yeah, so I started Beast of the East, you know, a long time ago with my ex-business partner, ex-friend. And the idea behind it was that we're two guys from New York that are very aggressive, you know, like we're Beast. We're from the East, you know, and
it rhymes. It sounds good.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of came together, you know. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, you know, we were both actors and we were just wearing multiple hats. My business partner was like director, producer, actor, and I was kind of like producer, actor. You know, I mean, it evolved. We started as actors first, and then we evolved into wearing other hats. And, you know, the premise in the beginning was just really telling East Coast stories. But, you know, I've evolved more, you know, so like my focus now, again, is more about, you know, like BIPOC, women, queer, and telling stories from all around the world, scripted, unscripted, television, feature documentary, narrative feature, shorts. And I'm actually branding myself more under Ramphis, you know, ramphis.net, you know, my website. And, you know, because the name kind of sticks out. It's unique, you know, like how many Ramphises have you met before you met me, you know?
Exactly. You're the only Ramphis I know, Ramphis.
Yeah, exactly. And how many Ramphises will you meet after me? You know, probably not that many, you know? So, so I've been branding myself more under that than the Beast of the East Productions banner, but that is a production company that I have.
Excellent. Well, we love a good production company, especially one that rhymes. Beast of the East. Love it. Love it. Yeah. So you work with a lot of different levels of production. You work, right? You work with not just in in development, but during production and then after on the selling side, or in the beginning on the selling side, right? Or do you only work in one area?
I work in all the above, you know, development, production. All the above. Yeah, everything.
That's great, because I think a lot of people think that producers only come in at one point in time when they can be perceived almost as Mr. Fix-Its. I know that I come in as like Mrs. Fix-It all the time, but how can creators with unique stories, so let's say whatever level of production you are, whether you're in development or whether you're, you know, post, or whether you're, you know, I have an idea, I want to put it on paper, what are ways that creators can show up better to obtain the career that they're looking for?
I think community is a big deal, you know, because there's times where I don't know stuff, and I just tap into, you know, people that I know and trust, and that'll be honest with me. And that's how you grow. I feel that's how I've become more creative, you know, because in the beginning, I think everyone questions that, you know, like, wait, am I good? Am I good enough? Am I creative? You know, I mean, at least those were the questions I had in my head, you know. And I would bounce off the ideas of other people that I like and know and that have a good track record, and kind of learn from them. And that's what really honed my skills, like the do's and the don'ts. It just, you know, it really scaled me up. So I feel that any creator that is looking to have a dynamic career, you know, you're going to have, you know, whether it's a large network or a close, tight-knit group, but people that you can go to, that, you know, you can share your ideas with, that you trust, that, you know, can keep it 100 with you. Like, hey, you know, you did a great job, and, you know, stop doing all these rewrites. It's time to take it out. Or like, hey, this really sucks. You know, what are you doing with it? You know, so being able to have those open discussions. And I feel as creatives, we're always sensitive to our material and what we're doing. And I get it. But, at the same time, it is a business. It is a commerce business. It's so business. So you have to be able to detach yourself from the creative and your ego and be able to have, critical feedback, to enhance your material and yourself. And, like people that really care about you and that are part of your pool will be able to, share that. And having a mentor obviously always helps, always have a mentor that is working on a high level, that is doing, more than you, and that's smart and savvy, so that helps, as well.
Yeah, I think people forget to have mentors. You and I are individuals that feed our mind. We're individuals that seek out in other areas to be better, high frequency individuals or gain, in new insight to things. And to me, some of the best lessons that I've learned that have just, resonate even further by working with you. It's like feed your mind, find your mentors, find people where your strengths are their weaknesses and their strengths are your weaknesses so you can work together. Community is everything. And the creative community, we need to start rising, like helping each other rise up. It shouldn't be, there's no need, in my opinion, and I think you agree, but there's no need for competition. There's enough diversity in storytelling that there's room for everyone to tell their story. I feel like the selfish creators or the selfish storytellers really are the ones that stunt the growth of it all. But I think we're in a renaissance of storytelling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely. I've been calling it the rolling 20s.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time. Hollywood has been shaken up, and the powers that be, before gatekeepers. Have been brought down, the ones that were so-called evil or bad or, taking advantage of people. People are being called out on their, stuff. You can't just go around doing whatever you want like before. You're going to be held accountable. And I'm happy to see that, transition and, and that's pushing the diverse, stories, and people are getting more opportunities, and the landscape is changing. The Academy is making sure that there's, a diverse program, for films to be able to win an award, or and it really reflects America because we're, a melting pot, and there's enough opportunity, there's enough work for everybody. You know what I mean? Like even if if one person wanted to do everything, you can't. There's not enough hours in a day or days in a year to do every single project. So, you can't hold on to everything. There's enough for everybody to win, so I definitely believe in abundance. And when your mind is like that, if you come from a place of scarcity, that's where you're going to be, but if you come from a place of abundance, the universe is always going to give you back. How you show up is how other people are going to show up for you. So, opportunity will always show. There's not a lack of, resources,
100%. Speaking of resources, I mentioned earlier that you and I are part of Showbiz Connection, and also you are currently running a panel at the upcoming Catalyst Institute Festival, which we're both a part of. But I would love you to tell our listeners more about what you're doing and how you are providing unique resources to people in the space.
Yes, I'm really excited to partner with Catalyst Institute. Shout out to Philip Gilpin and his team. We'll be out in Duluth, Minnesota, September 28th to October 3rd. There's a 2-day masterclass that I will be, doing, and you will be on there too. Excited to have you on with both of your companies, Star Baby and Aperture, and your team as well. And the goal is to educate these creators and content makers about how to get their career to the next level. We'll have talent managers there, one from New York, one from LA, talking about how they work with their clients, how they careers, what steps to take. We'll also have, one particular panelist that works on scripted and unscripted, just closed their deal, and, from a newcomer space, you get to hear about her experience as a woman of color, a Black woman, how she went about, doing this, and how, she kept, pitching and pitching, the first few projects, I guess, didn't land, but, she just closed a really big deal, really excited, for her. And you can learn from her, errors and her, and her success, obviously. And I think those are definitely, good nuggets. So, someone like that. And then you have someone like, we have the showrunner from Stranger Things that'll be there that is very experienced, has a tons of credits and success, so you get to hear both sides of that equation and see what works, for you. So we'll have at least 10 panelists, 5 each day. We'll go through, a fireside chat with all these individuals where you get to learn about them and their careers, how they have thrived and come up. Q&A where you can really pick their minds and see how, these, examples apply to you or your career or your projects. And then later on in the day, you have an opportunity to pitch these individuals and get live feedback. Whether you come in person or virtual, we'll have a virtual component. If, you're not able to, fly in, or, you don't feel comfortable flying in, you'll be able to participate, virtually online for, both days. And we'll have 2 different groups both days. And then at the end of each day, there'll be networking. So you'll get to be able to, connect with these individuals. And all these people were, handpicked specifically with the thought of they're givers, they're good people. They're very busy people, but they are mindful and want to be there to share, their knowledge and experience with the people in the audience. So no reason to feel intimidated. These are people that you can talk to and will give you the time of day, which you don't always get that on that level, especially, you know what I mean, in Hollywood.
Well, it would not be possible without you. So thank you for leading this event with all these great people. Speaking of community, bringing in all these amazing people together. And what do you personally have going on right now?
Personally, getting ready to release my film Cicada in about a month or two. It's played the festival circuit. It's done extremely well. It's about a bisexual male that gets involved in an interracial relationship during the Phil Sandusky trial, based off a true story. Amazing cast, and that's being released in North America. I believe the second weekend of October. Will be released in the UK, Ireland, Germany, I think Switzerland, France next year. So really excited to, roll out, this film that we've worked so hard on. And the team from this film is getting ready to do our follow-up film in, I think, about a month from now. We're still, figuring things out, but I think we're looking to start in a month from now. And I am also doing a very, small project with this gentleman that just graduated from NYU about a young Black man that was incarcerated in Bakersfield that was forced to do a crime that he did not want to do. And he was jailed in prison as an adult instead of a juvenile, even though he ended up not committing the crime, and he served about 12 or 13 years. And we're telling a story inspired by what he's gone through to share with the world, to educate the world, and to prevent this from happening to other, young Black men as well. And Spike Lee, Cary Fukunaga, many non-for-profits have come on board to support this journey. We don't know when we're going to start because of, guidelines around NYU handling COVID. So once that's figured out, we'll go into production, but we're hoping to go, as soon as possible. And outside of that, I have several shows that I'm shopping around to various, networks.
Amazing. So amazing, Ramphis. And I am so grateful to not only be your friend, but have the pleasure of being able to collaborate with you in multiple ventures. For everyone who would like to reach out to you, where are the best places they can find you?
Ramphis at ramphis.net is my email. So it's exactly my name, RAMFIS at RAMFIS.net. That's also my website, but I am very active on LinkedIn. You know, that I
better be.
check and respond to, so that's just my name, Ramphis Murthel. And then on Instagram, it's Ramphis Murthel Official because I'm official.
You are official. You're officially awesome. I thank you so much for being a part of Content and Consequences Season 2. And to everyone listening, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.